What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
Mr. Ray, what's up, brother?
Oh, hello, Wes.
We are live, back in action, and Ray is almost to full health. Is that true?
That's right. Yeah, the headache and coughing and sore throat is about 99% gone, replaced with violent diarrhea.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your protocol? Actually, I think a good topic for today is systems.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a great book called Atomic Habits. We should review it as a squad one day. But it says, I slightly disagree with this, but it says, instead of setting goals, set systems. I agree with both. Set goals and create the systems to achieve the goals.
Right.
And maybe I just misinterpreted, so I'm going to read that book again. But it definitely is the focus on systems. So what I would like to pose to the guys today is like, what are your systems for achieving the goals? And with this topic today of like Ray getting sick, having some sort of system in place so that you either don't get sick, or when you do get sick, what is like the immediate system you input to reduce the probability that it gets worse?
Right. Yeah, because I think this is a useful topic for me personally, because I'm just getting over the sick. And I was thinking about it, and I think I was also sick for the first half of November. So, I mean, like, I think I was sick maybe first week of November, and then now here we are, mid-November. So if what they say is true about the pandemic weakening everybody's immune system on account of wearing masks for 2 years,
right,
I might get sick again, or I might be vulnerable to getting sick over and over again this year. So I want to create a system that will minimize that for sure.
Do you have anything that's worked for you in the past, or is currently working, and just these things happen to slip through the cracks the last two times?
The only thing I can think of is that steady exercise, healthy diet, and it's really the scorecard, getting 8 hours sleep every night, eating healthy, exercise, and a regime of vitamins, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't changed up my vitamins for the winter, but I think, wouldn't you say that like sleep, diet, exercise are probably a good foundation?
Yeah, definitely. And I think like most things, it's the trends a lot of people know. It's the dosages that a lot of people don't do or don't know. Mm-hmm. So I would say for me, and it took me years to figure this out, like literally. So this year will be the first year. I think I've only gotten sick one time this year. I usually, when I was in New York, I used to get sick anywhere between 8 and 11 times a year, easily. So now I'm trying to purposely experiment with like what will not get me sick. So two main things right off the bat. First is obvious: sleep. Like I overdose on sleep. Try for like 8 to 10 hours, usually 9 to 10 hours. As soon as I start feeling bad, now that's that night that I start feeling bad. The next thing, I will immediately dose up on Airborne, which is just like that vitamin tablet. I've tried that emergency packet, and I don't know, but I've tried both of them for years. Emergency doesn't seem to work anywhere near as well as Airborne for me. But again, you're racing against the clock. I take that immediately, like literally immediately as I feel bad, or I take it if anybody else around me feels sick. Like that is like the real game changer, in my opinion. The other thing, and this is not the fun thing to do, is I go and I get a very large clove of garlic, and I chew it up, and I kind of like tongue it to be like a putty on the back of my throat. And I leave it there for, let's say, 20 to 30 seconds. It is absolutely disgusting. It is absolutely horrible. if you get a good piece, it burns the hell out. Like it really hurts. It doesn't say really hurt, but it's like it's kind of like eating horseradish. Like it's a sharp, sting. And then I spit it out. I used to swallow it, and then it would just like destroy my insides for like a good 2 minutes. But I haven't noticed any benefit from swallowing it yet.
What are the benefits you notice from chewing it? So
I don't know the technical benefits, but I have heard enough people, including like Joe Rogan was talking to somebody on his podcast about it. He does the same thing. My guess is it just makes the environment uninhabitable for whatever the hell's trying to take over. That's
for everything.
Yeah. But dude, I swear by that. That's probably the most powerful thing that I do. Of like, if I've gone to bed certain that I was going to wake up with like, not strep throat, but like some mild version of strep throat where my like throat was killing the night before. And then I do that next morning, completely fine.
So you chew on a garlic clove and let it just like rest in your mouth like a kind of a putty for.
Well, in particular, like I paste it to the back of my throat. Like that's normally where things start happening for me. Like I kind of feel it first there. But again, all of these, it's like, I swear you have a half-hour time window to like capture it in time. Because I'm going to assume it's the growth of something. Like something kind of cracks the seal of whatever your immune system is. And I also believe, and I don't do this, but apparently what you should be doing, according to Dr. Greger, is eating mushrooms a significant amount each week. I eat them sometimes a week, sometimes throughout the week. But apparently that rebuilds the mucus lining throughout your body. And apparently that is for most people the weakest link in their chain of defense, because apparently I don't know how many millimeters it is thick, but it's like once that's gone, like that's what protects your cells, your skin cells from invaders. And apparently they're right back there in your throat. So I guess maybe eating mushrooms is probably a good thing to do, but I don't do it enough.
Interesting. So emergency or airborne, mushrooms and garlic. I wonder if I gotta get back into the Rhomas veggie shake for sure.
Oh yeah.
And like, if I could add extra ginger this time of year. And then I wonder if I added a clove of garlic, or is a clove of garlic supposed to be in there already? I don't think so.
No, I don't do it. You can do it if you want to. I do not do it. Garlic like makes me feel nauseous, like basically immediately as soon as I eat it. So I do try to eat garlic. I would say probably a couple times a week, just in normal meals. I'll put it in, oh yeah. Here's the other thing, broth. So as soon as my throat feels bad as well, I'll do a bunch of broth, and I just put ground pepper in there, and I also do garlic in there as well. So that's like my 4 or 5 things. And I swear by them, and none of them.
It's funny how you don't mention like Dayquil, NyQuil.
No,
like a white devil Western medicine.
Yeah, that stuff, in my opinion, I'm not necessarily against it. That stuff is used to mask the symptoms, in my opinion. Like NyQuil, I've taken NyQuil definitely. I can't remember the last time I took it, probably years ago. But it knocks me out. But then the next day for the next like 2 days, I feel groggy. So I just don't like it. And I'm assuming it messes with your REM sleep just like alcohol does. And that's something I'm really not interested in messing with. Yeah. And Ryan
and Miguel's asking, the boys are asking, do you have a preference between bone broth, chicken broth?
So I've heard a lot about bone broth. I used to take it to the point where I used to buy big bones from Whole Foods and then pressure cook them inside my pressure cooker. I think Kobe Bryant was a big fan of bone broth. I honestly haven't done it in years. But for the sickness, I always do chicken broth. I don't know why. Maybe that was just my default. And I don't know why it works, but I can tell you for sure it works for me. Like there's no doubt about it. I'm going to guess it's something to do with the sodium content.
I was going to ask about that because I took a bunch of chicken soup this past week, and I felt very salted.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Now I don't know if that soothes, how they tell you to gargle salt water if you have some sort of throat infection. I'm going to assume that helps with it. I also put a lot of ground pepper in there. So it's almost like relatively spicy.
Mhm.
And then I also don't know if just like the salt helps you retain more water in your system, and for some reason that's beneficial. I don't know, but I could definitely tell you for sure, like this is what works for me. And it's almost to the point where I don't know if you were to ask a doctor if they would tell you, oh yeah, that's just kind of like old wives' tale stuff. But I could also tell you that, so I got a cold sore recently. And I told my doctor before that if I eat oatmeal, I get a cold sore. And the doctor's like, no, that's not true. I'm like, it's 100% true. And he's like, no, it's not true. Anyway, so I tested it out. I tested this out last week. I had one granola bar, literally one granola bar. I had a cold sore the next day. I tested it out 5 weeks ago as well. Same thing. So I don't want to sound hippy dippy about this stuff, but I do think there's a certain amount of, especially nutritional information, that is just not very well received in the medical community. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. So anyway, those are the handful of things that I do, and it's worked out really well this year. Oh, the other thing, which is going to seem counterintuitive, or maybe not, I stop working out to a significant degree. So if I feel, what's up, Gunther? If I feel like I'm getting sick, I won't go lifting weights that day. Instead, I'll walk around the block or something, because I swear that if you really push the system like hardcore in the gym, I think that can get you sick too.
Yeah, I had a pretty busy professional week last week with the opening of the new art exhibition, a couple of like tours and stuff. So I canceled both my personal trainer sessions because I was struggling through this sickness. Because I like you've said before, I was quite certain that it would just have a compounding effect on my sickness to beat up my immune system like that.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then I'm going to invite a couple guys up here just in case you want to riff on anything. If you guys can't make it, no sweat at all. So Ray, how long are you usually sick for?
Well, this has been a week of, from medium, a little bit sick to totally bedridden to a little bit sick again. It's been 7 days. And so, and I don't remember it usually being this long.
Right.
But so probably less than that typically.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes you out of the game for a significant period of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me,
my mojo's gone. Like I'm not like, I'm not enthusiastic about working. The bed looks very attractive during waking hours, imagine this. I'm up to I'm on my second caffeinated coffee today, just trying to, shake off the cobwebs. So, there's a lethargy component too.
Oh yeah. And Kai Zen is saying that he does the opposite. He hits the gym. I think he's saying he hits it pretty hard. And then pops some vitamin C and green drink. Kai Zen, I'll invite you up if you have a chance. If not, no sweat. I find that when I do that, man, if I go and work out hardcore when I'm sick, do a mild workout, like I'll go into like pneumonia the next day.
Oh yeah. What do you think of sauna I also cut out the cold exposure because I was just going from like feverish, sweats to chills. I didn't have the stomach to do a cold shower.
Oh yeah, when you're sick, I wouldn't do it either.
Mm-hmm. So I introduced a little bit today for the first time.
Yeah, I would imagine I've heard enough positive things about saunas. I wouldn't be surprised if it's helpful when somebody's sick. I've just never done it myself. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm actually sick, I don't know. I could see it being beneficial though, but I don't have a sauna like readily accessible. I actually got to drive to the gym for it. So anyway, that's the system that I use. Hopefully that's helpful for people. Hey, try what Kaizen's saying, try what I'm saying, try what Ray is saying. I'm going to imagine that the biggest part of the pie chart there is catching it in time and then doing whatever your system is, as long as it's reasonable. But I think that's the biggest part, not pushing yourself. Or from what Kaizen is saying, like his system is actually pushing himself really hard and taking a bunch of vitamin C. But I'm going to imagine there's a certain time window in which one has to do that.
Mhm.
So with that being said, the topic for today is not just goal setting, but what are the systems that you can use in place to hit those goals? And Ray, I'll throw it over to you. Have there been any systems that you have used that have really helped?
Well, the scorecard, I mean, I know we
Yep.
come back to it over and over again, but the scorecard it's something that definitely took a beating last week as well. And with the exception of sleep, although I did crush sleep consistently in the past week on my scorecard, but movement took a beating, journaling and everything. So I think that the scorecard is a system, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that is my that's my system. That's my number one system. And now I'm just in terms of this conversation, I'm thinking do I need like a second scorecard for my work day? Like, do you know what I mean? Do I need a system? Do I need to take out a sheet and have a system between that for execution between now and the end of the year?
Without a doubt.
Yes, I think that's something I have to come up with in terms of daily goals, daily to-dos. How about you?
Oh, dude. Well, to riff on that, I don't know. I think like checklists are one of the most profound and impactful things that a man can have to get his stuff done. I also think it's profound how many men don't have them, or don't use them, if that makes sense. I swear. So like the system that I use Google Sheets, and I keep it really simple. Like that's where I take my notes. I used to do it in Excel. I transferred it now over to Google Sheets, but that's where I take my notes. And then I also, on the same page, I have a running list of my to-dos, and then I just copy and paste them to the top of the page every week, if that makes sense. And then I have running lists. So like, here's my projects, here's my, what I call them opportunities, here's my opportunities, here's my parking lot, here's the things I've got to do for my family, here's the things that I have for errands when I walk out. So I have them in compartmentalized lists, so that way like it is environment specific. So, okay.
Give us those categories again.
Yeah. So for me, I've got my projects. That's like the big one. Like, because usually goals are more than one action, so they're usually projects or habits. So my projects that I'm trying to get done for the quarter, for the year. And then I keep a percentage next to those of like, how much am I complete of those projects? So that's one of the lists. Another list is opportunities, which are just basically tasks, like what are the tasks I have to get done? And then I have things I have like at home list, because I want those to be separate. I do not want my tasks I don't want my work tasks in my at home tasks. It's very important because my brain will get distracted. And then I have my errands list task, like little list. So that's for me, that's code for, okay, if I'm running out and about, like, oh, I got to go to FedEx, I got to go to UPS, I've got to go to the grocery store, I've got to do whatever, so that's compartmentalized. So does all that make sense? Okay. Then I have my time block, right? So now how we talk about time blocks, it's like, okay, I need a system to differentiate between all of that stuff. Oh, another part of my list is the parking lot list. I've got 2 parking lot lists, parking lot 1 and parking lot 2. Those are very important. I need a way to be able to psychologically differentiate between things that I'm considering, but not right now. Instead of my task list just being 500 items long, it's like, no, I want it to be within one screen of my computer. So, okay, and nope, fine, Ray, you and I want to do this thing. Okay, great, but that's going to go into my parking lot list. I'll revisit it next month or something like that. I also have my wins for the day and for the week. So if you can imagine the flow of this, right? I've got all of those options over here between projects, actions, parking lots, errands, etc., right? Then I've got this box that says 2-hour time block. And it could be whatever you want, half-hour time block, 30-minute time, or 40-minute time block, an hour time block, etc. That is where I move. That is the clear commitment to I copy and paste one of those actions, potential actions, into the time block, right? Or a handful of them in there. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is what I'm focused on. I usually write those on a Post-it. So I move them into that time block. I write them on a Post-it. And then I shut that, I minimize that sheet, and that's what I focus on for that 2-hour time block. And then that's what I cross out. But in the movement of those actions, taking this from this action into that time block is like the very intentional thought of, this is what I want to accomplish today. Here are my goals, which are my projects, right? Here are my goals. And this, I know that these have a relationship to those goals. I almost treat it like a religious experience. As crazy as that sounds, but you guys are used to my crazy way of thinking.
Religious in that you cannot be like I cannot be distracted during that hour at church, and you cannot be distracted from this once it's in a time block.
Well, both. I mean, but more the prerequisite, the religious experience even prior to that is the movement of the task from the purgatory area into the focused time block. Like, dude, this is what drives me crazy. So people, including myself, will say that they want something so bad, but then, and they have this emotion, like if they don't get it, or if they're exposed to the non-getting it at some point in their life, like, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, they show up to the Christmas party and they're one of their friends from high school they found out is worth is a millionaire and you're not, or something like that. And it's like, oh, you feel this pain from it. It's like, that's not when you feel the pain. The pain should have been felt every day where you didn't move the actions into the proper focused time block, right? That's where the pain should be felt. So for me, it's a synthetic manufacturing of like, this is my choice to move towards my goals or not. But like anything that goes into that time block is like when you walk into the dojo, like onto the mat of an MMA place or like a jiu-jitsu place, it's like before you walk onto the mat, you bow to recognize the significance of your crossing the chasm into a place of seriousness now.
Awesome. So hold on. I want to go back to this process. So like, it's kind of a goal setting in a way, right? Or reverse goal setting. So the guy goes into the high school reunion, finds out one of his friends is a millionaire and has pangs of regret or jealousy or whatever. So I'm just trying to think of like, we ask ourselves, what do we want so bad, right? And that goes in this box. And so that's the North Star goal, I guess you could say.
Well, so goals, so I have, you know, I have the goals binder, right? And you have the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So in the vision board, et cetera. So that is different than like my action list.
Yes.
Right. Now on my projects list, those are my goals essentially. Right. Like, you know, make 100 sales calls a day. That's not one of them, but let's just say that's it for you. Right. Well, that's a project. Let's just say make 100 sales call a day for a straight year. Well, in that box that you just showed on screen is I will take that and I will copy it and put it into that box. Right. So maybe that's a 2-hour time block and maybe you make 30 phone calls in that 2-hour time block. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's, you see how you drew a perimeter to that box?
Yeah.
Entry in through that perimeter is like, this is where you either take yourself serious as a man and do what you say you're going to do, or you don't. And it's like, that's where the emotion should be felt, in my opinion, not at the high school reunion.
Yeah.
Or maybe end at the high school reunion, but you could have been the guy instead of the guy who's jealous of the guy. Or it's like if you want to take care of your kids, or if you want to pay the bills, or whatever that is. It's like that's where the decision is made, not at the end of the month when you can't afford the electricity.
Right.
So I'm doing it right now for myself.
I'm just thinking like the kind of format I'm thinking of is like, you know, what is what do you want so bad? And so like for that guy, it would be to be successful, right? And so actions that must be done to achieve that 100 sales calls a day. I'm trying to come up with like a system, right? Like we're talking about.
Yep.
And then the results. And then I guess the first thing that comes to mind is you cannot guarantee success, right? Or success isn't, then the result is you're doing everything in your power.
Yeah. So
the rest is up to the gods or something.
So, right. So what Gunther was just saying is be impeccable with your word. That also means to yourself. So I completely agree. That's what this whole exercise is. So it's all of these things, the actions, the projects, etc. These are all, okay, future me is going to do those things, right? But now we're taking one of those things and we are transforming them in from a future me to a present me is going to do this right now. And it's right there, that commute into that box of like, this is what I'm going to do right now. And that's where you will find out how strong your relationship is to your word. And how bad you really do want the thing.
Yeah.
Now that list, Ray, that you put under that box, that is already a synthesized list or lists.
Well, I just adjusted a little bit. So like we've got what does he want so bad to be successful? Next, actions that must be taken, 100 sales calls a day, for example. Next, apply that action to a system. And so then we got the time block, the projects, opportunities.
Projects, habits, and actions. I happen to just call mine opportunities because I don't want to think about them as tedious things to do. It's like, oh, I get to do these, not that I have to do these.
Right.
Yeah. Now, for me, it's really important to have that all on one frame on my computer.
Right.
So that I do not have to scroll and I do not have to click.
They used to say that about Trump too. Any memo that you pass him had to be like double spaced, one page. Bullet points.
There you go. Love it. Yep. So now, a couple things there. The reason I now do Google Sheets is because I actually like their app a lot better. So this is also to serve as a catch for my actions. So for instance, when I'm going throughout the day, like you need a place to be able to send the actions into one spot so you can process them. What most people have happen, including myself, if I'm not on top of my game, is they commit to a lot, but they never fully write it down or they never fully capture it somewhere. And then you have all of these open loops around you and you're just waiting for the landmine to go off. You know, client Mr. Smith says, hey, Ray, you told me you were going to send me over that thing a couple weeks ago. Where is it? Right? And it's like, oh shit, I didn't write it down. I didn't go into my list. I didn't process it properly. So yeah, that is my sole system. I don't get any special apps. Now I know there's a whole bunch of apps out there. I've tried a bunch of them. But like for me, simplicity is the most important thing. Reducing the friction. Like I don't want to have to go to an app and click around a bunch of times and then use different notes things. So all of my notes and my actions are in one master workbook I've been keeping now for I think like 4 years.
Yeah, and that's why I'm still married to the paper calendar, just because everything goes in there. And I just have one place to look rather than all the iCal, family calendar, my calendar, like everything goes in one central place.
Yep. Yeah. As long as it works for you, as long as that system works for you, then hell yeah.
Right. Unless I can't find the calendar, in which case like everything grinds to a halt.
Yeah. Nice. But, yeah. The downside of technology is it opens up like this abyss to
distraction.
100%. That is the problem. So it's just what's the net benefit to you? Do you have a net benefit of having to fight that distraction and get the universal like usage of the iCalendar with all of the family stuff included, or do you keep it more simple? And I think that's just a personal answer. Yeah, and that's why I like Post-its.
I can say with 100% truthfulness that there's no porn or celebrity gossip or sports scores in my paper calendar.
Yep. Yep.
Yep. Distraction free.
Yeah. The other thing in terms of systems, and there's a great book called, I forget, I've mentioned it a lot here, called Persuasion, which is written by Robert Cialdini. And he was the one who wrote the book Influence. This was all about pre-framing though. And he actually said that I think 75% of human action is not action, it's reaction. It's reaction to the stimulus. So creating your environment and how important that is to imply action. Like we've talked about in the past, there's never been a time where you've gone to the gym and taken a nap because the environmental stimulus is so strong that you're only going to do one thing when you're there, So then it's how can you create that environmental system so that it implies the action to such a degree that you are most likely going to do that thing. So for instance, I have my vision board right next to my tea, right? Like where I boil my water in the morning. So like I have no choice but to look at it. That's
awesome.
why I've looked at my vision board thousands of times this year because it's in my bathroom, it's in my tea nook, it's on my desk, it's literally on my dashboard of my car. So how do you build your environmental system to trigger your action? And I think it's called the 3 R's, which is remind, routine, reward. And that reminder is really important.
The remind, the routine, and then the reward. Can you break that down for us a little bit?
Yep. So the Power of Habit book talked about this. They didn't say remind, routine, reward, but they said in some other words. But it's basically the 3 R's. So reminder, which is like your cue, right? The reminder to do something, right? Then the routine, which would be in this case the system, right? And then the third thing to cap it off, because you're human, it's like how do you reward yourself? What is the payoff to the 2 other things? Remind, routine, reward.
I know we've talked a lot about the reward mechanism in the brain on this pod and the importance of having your incentives aligned and the rewards at the right time.
Yeah, and especially for men, because I do think oftentimes for men, it's a lot of things we do are thankless jobs. And I don't mean to say that as like a pity party, but the amount of
things we should do, a lot of things that, right? A lot of the things, the times that we need to show up are thankless.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, how do you build those rewards in for yourself and don't rely on others to thank you for them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for me, one of my big things, I know it's going to sound weird, but it could be as simple as like a glass of iced tea. I literally have a glass of iced tea with ice cubes. I put it in like a Scotch type. Is that like little tiny glass?
Yeah. Tumbler maybe.
Yeah. Some sort of like Scotch glass. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I put that and I go and try to look at some nice view. Like literally if I hit a big deal or I do something that I feel like I should be rewarded for, like that's my reward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That also is like a religious experience to me.
Yeah. It's funny. If anyone sees you, like, I mean, it'll be funny, right? Because you've got like, it's probably like 11 a.m. and you've got the tumbler of Scotch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
What's up,
brother?
Oh, hey. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How you doing, Beast?
Good.
Welcome aboard, man.
Thanks. I took my break to jump in. I saw the invite.
Hell yeah, man.
Can you tell us about the big project at the Philadelphia International Airport?
Yeah, that was like a 3 to 4 year long running, like waiting around for them to get that going. And we banged it out this summer. It was a huge job. Really proud of it. My brother sees it all the time, every time he goes to the airport. And I just figured I'd just throw it out there in case anybody's flying through.
So for those
Terminal C. Yeah, Terminal C.
For those who don't know what you do, tell us about when you decided, because this was kind of a side hustle, right? That at first.
No, this is my main gig, my job down in Philly, and I'm no longer doing it. It became a side hustle because I went back to Philly just to do the job. I was like staying at a hotel, really blue collar living type of vibe. There it is right there. So it's like a living green wall.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. Yeah, it's like elevated like 20 feet up in the air. One of the biggest ones we've ever done.
That's cool, man.
Pretty stoked about that. Yeah.
I will see it. I'm flying into Philly on Wednesday, and I fly through American Airlines. My mom works for American Airlines, so I will see that. That's awesome.
Oh, sick. Hell yeah.
Congrats, man. That's
Thanks,
cool.
man.
So,
Thanks.
yeah, I was going to ask you to share a win with us. I mean, that seems like a pretty big win. Any other wins you want to share with the team?
Trying to think. I mean, moved my whole family up to Rhode Island and got a sick job doing CAD CAM design. It's computer assisted design like what I was doing back in Philly, but it's more complicated. I'm doing like some 3D printing and some laser cutting type stuff for medical packaging here in Providence.
Hell yeah, man.
Beautiful.
Congratulations, dude. How big's your family?
It's just my wife, my son, and I.
Okay.
Kind of like Ray.
Awesome. Awesome. Hell yeah.
It's a lot of work. It sounds like a tight squad, but it's a lot of work.
It is, yeah.
And your boy's how old now?
He's 3. He's about to turn 4.
See, that's the Godzilla years. So that's pretty hands-on, pretty full-on.
Yeah, it was a big thing. I mean, moving was a huge win this year. It was moving the whole family, getting new jobs, getting my son into school. My wife is starting her own business, which is going really well right now. And I'm pretty jealous of how well it is because I want to do my own thing, and she's like miles ahead of me right now, which is inspiring.
Well, so let's chat. You mind if we riff on that?
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking for that, and what is holding you back?
So, getting a contracting license, I'd like to be able to do, continue to do what I was doing before, making green walls, doing biophilic design, and doing installs, like art installs, that type of work. And it's a matter of having a contractor license so I can actually go in and have, having some liability insurance, things like that. I'd like to start it small and use the model of starting off with like craft fair wares, selling that and building up my capital where I can invest in my own CNC machine, my own 3D printers, things like that, so that I can be able to generate more of my own work. Right now, I found a facility here in Providence where they've got really great rates. So if you can rent a CNC machine, which is awesome, the prices are unheard of, so it's really nice. And then they're shutting down. I just went to a consult yesterday to check out their facility. I've been dragging ass on it for a long time, being like, okay, I'll go. Finally got in there. I have to get like an $80 refresher course, and then it's like $120 a month to have all access, 24/7 access to the facility. And I'd love to have that so I can just go in at night and work on projects.
Hell yeah.
But it's moving slow. For me, it was getting a nice solid job to be the basis and then working my way from there. I started off at this super shitty job. It was nice. It's a good job. It was Saint-Gobain. They're like the world's largest employer. They manufacture shit all around the planet, making like spaceship parts and automotive parts. But I wasn't doing CAD design, CAM design. So it was just like punching buttons and watching a machine run. It sucked. It's horrible. Yeah. But I had to suffer through that, and I got where I needed to go. A month later, I got this job. A little bit of nepotism. My brother's a guy that my brother graduated high school with hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I heard you do this. Do you want to come over and check it out?" And I'm like, "Hell, fucking yeah, get me."
That's not nepotism, man. That's right place, right time.
Every good job I've ever had has been through a connection. Every great job with a good business has always been like based on my ability to network. I'm a networker. I'm a connector. I like to connect the dots. Connectedness is one of my top strengths. Strengths Quest West.
Nice.
So yeah, it went lightning. I mean, it felt like a long time going in on those early shifts at this manufacturing facility, Saint-Gobain. But it all happened pretty quick. I've only been here for about 4 or 5 months now, and I've got a job where I'm learning more than my last CAD job, but I'm getting paid the same. So it's the amount of the amount of growth and what I know is at this perfect level where I'm able to use my skills, and I'm doing a kick-ass job at my job right now, but I'm also learning so much. I try to bring
yeah.
my laptop home every day so I can practice SolidWorks. It's a 3D modeling program, and just trying to soak up as much as I can while I'm getting paid to do it.
Dude,
Usually,
I think
usually
you hit it home
engineers
run.
get hired for this job, so I'm feeling like right out of my comfort level. It's perfect.
Yeah, what do they call it? Jordan Peterson talks about it's like zone of proximal development. Like right there where there's enough that you don't know and you're learning, but there's also enough that you know and you're good at, so you can like make progress simultaneously. Dude, I think you hit it out of the park. Now,
Dude, I feel like such a bum compared to this guy. Like
So-
this guy's lighting a fire under my ass.
crushing it. So
Good.
I feel like the side hustle would be an extension of what you're doing for your day job too, right? Is that a correct statement?
It's the same work, but I'd be able to make stuff that's artistic, creative,
Sure.
And sell it.
Yeah, so it's applicable. So the skills you're using every single day in your 9 to 5 would be and could be used in your side hustle.
Mhm.
Oh, dude, I think it's a no-brainer.
I started to do it in Philly, making signage for businesses, and it was profitable. It was a nice way to just start to build some capital. But yeah, it's a slow process when you don't have your own machine. When I was living in Philly, I had this 4x8 gigantic CNC machine that I was able to mill side projects with and be like, "Hey, Dad, can I work on this?" And he's like, "Yeah, just not on the clock, but you can do that." Now it's a matter of I got to find a separate facility where I can do that kind of work.
Hell yeah. And just so if anybody ever wants some signage, what kind of materials are you talking about?
Anything from wood, metal, aluminum, plastic, MDF. Usually outdoor signage I do with plastic. I have to learn more contracting skills, code. I need to know like building code. That type of stuff can hinder my ability to make things if I don't know what I'm doing there.
Got it. And have you ever seen, I've got this client who has a sign on their wall and it looks like metal. It looks like rusted iron or something. And it's actually foam. And then they just spray it with some sort of like finishing rusted looking spray. Have you ever seen that?
No, I know they have like foam core stuff with metal plating on it. I bet MFG would know a lot more about that because he did a lot of signage with his old job when he was up in Maine. MFG seems to know that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there to you in case you want to expand on the offerings to the clientele. But dude, I think you're doing literally exactly what I would recommend to most people, if you don't mind me saying that, which is like
Thanks, man.
a lot of people feel like when they go and create a business, they have to have this huge grand opening. I call it the myth of the grand opening. Like, yeah, it sounds great and it looks great in your head, but the reality is you don't have to step away usually from your bread, like the way your primary source of breadwinning in order to create the business. And ideally, if you can do at nighttime what you just do in the daytime, what a company's paying you to learn and give you access to things, man, it reduces your risk exponentially. And you can also build up a clientele along the way. So great job, dude. I'm pumped for you, buddy.
Thanks, man. I also wanted to mention, because we're talking about systems of ways of goal setting. And I've got this thing that I've learned about. It's a little bit more, what's the word? Woo-woo, a little hippy-dippy.
Sure.
But it's an interesting concept. So it's sigil magic. Have you ever heard of sigil magic?
No, but now I'm intrigued. Please.
It's chaos magic. It's a way of positing your goals into your subconscious.
Okay.
And an example of that would be, so you take, say, a word like courage or whatever. You actually have to do a little bit of art with it. So you take away all the vowels, so you're left with consonants. You take away repeating consonants, and then you make a piece of like artwork out of that thing, and then you like hide it and you don't even look at it. So it's very opposite to the very like detail oriented goal setting stuff that you're talking about.
Interesting.
But it's a way of sort of biohacking your subconscious by positing it in there. And it's super woo woo, but I just felt like I'd mention it because it's kind of
hell yeah.
I've tried it before and it's kind of interesting. There's some weird stuff where they go in on it and they're saying like you gotta like orgasm while you look at it.
I was wondering what the gulp was before.
Yeah, yeah, it gets weird. These guys back in the day, they didn't know what they were doing. So they tried anything. I'd imagine, but it's like a kind of an ancient. It's like an older technique of magic. Do with it what you will. I know it's not super detail oriented like your style, but I figured I'd throw it out there.
Hey man, so sigil magic. So Ray's now back on board. I think he got kicked off for a second. So sigil magic is a way of absorbing your goals and having them come to fruition through a subconscious mechanism where you take a word, and you remove the vowels. So you write the word down, and then you remove the vowels, and then I guess you rewrite. Or I guess you don't never have to write it in the first place, but you write at the end without the vowels, and then you just look at it.
You make a piece of art out of those. You make what's called a sigil, which is like, I don't know, it looks like black magic type of shit, but
Okay.
you make like a symbol, like you'd see like the symbol for a woman or whatever. It's like, the cross with the,
Yeah.
whatever it is, the circle and the cross. So
Yeah.
it's something like that, and then you hide it away. You meditate on it and you look at it, but then you also hide it away so that it's something that's like so boiled down to what your goals are, whether it's like, some really core value, maybe like courage or love or whatever it is, and then you hide it away. Now, black magic is weird stuff. Chaos magic is weird stuff. A lot of people that are, goofy, weird, creepy stuff, and it invites in weird things if you start going down that rabbit hole. But I've tried it before. It's interesting. It kind of works. Do with it what you will.
All right, Ray,
do what thou wilt.
Yeah. Ray, have you picked up on all this?
No. But
Sorry, man.
I mean, I don't know what on earth you're talking about. I will pray for you, Ryan, but if it works for you, it doesn't matter if it's real. Like if it's getting you results, you know what I mean? You can look at it like any kind of faith, like any kind of placebo effect, or like anything that's not super scientifically verifiable. If it's working for you, if it's getting you the results you want, if you're able to turn people into toads or whatever, just run with it.
Well, hey, I got to say this. So Ryan, I completely respect it because I don't even like admitting this, but Ray, almost like what we talk about with the vision board, I cannot explain to you how many times I've put something on my vision board and then whatever the hell the universe does, it shows up. And I hate even saying that. I literally hate saying that out loud because I feel like it can reduce my credibility as like a math nerd,
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, every freaking time I do it, at least it feels that way to me. Every time I do it, these just crazy things happen, and where it's like, oh, there it is. So I can respect now I laughed because the disclaimer of like, now black magic can get a little weird, the casual disclaimer there. So I think it's awesome. And then Ray, to your point, dude, what's the placebo effect? I feel like, one of these guys can answer this. Dude, I think the placebo, it's like not uncommon for placebo to have a 30% impact on the results. 30% impact is enormous, right? That is like, usually people would think like if we were casually talk about placebo, you'd think it's like, oh, it brings like a 5% skew. It's a 30% skew oftentimes. That in itself, it's like, shit, if that's the placebo, give me it, So I can respect it, man. Ryan, thank you for sharing, bro.
And also praise Jesus.
All right, man.
Praise Jesus.
Hell yeah.
Now go do that ritual with that live chicken you've got in the back of your car.
I got to get back to working. I represent the workers.
Hell yeah, bro. Hey, Ryan, congratulations on the progress, brother. Appreciate you being on the team, pal.
Thank you for pumping us up.
All right.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody. And we'll see you back on Friday. What do you say, Wes?
Yep. Later, dudes. Happy Thanksgiving. Gobble, gobble. Talk to you soon. Later.